Hello, I'm Whitney, and I'm here at Samuel's Public Library to talk to you today about some nonfiction books. I'm going to tell you about a book that I have read, a book that I'm reading right now, and a couple of books that I'm interested in. I'm going to start by talking about this book that I'm reading right now. This is Chance, The Shaking of an All-American City, The Voice That Held It Together. It's about an earthquake that happened in Anchorage, Alaska in 1964. It was Good Friday. The quake was a 9.2 on the Richter scale, and it lasted almost 5 minutes. The story really centers around Jeannie Chance, a woman who worked at the local radio station, and she became the hub of information, not just locally, but globally in the wake of the quake. She was able to get out personal messages to people in the continental U.S. to let them know that their friends and loved ones were okay and give them other information about the situation. It's a great story, and John Llewellyn, the author, is a really good storyteller. He's also a journalist. And if you like his writing style, then you might enjoy this book, Wild Ones, also by him. And the subtitle is about as good a description as I could ever come up with for this book. A sometimes dismaying, weirdly reassuring story about looking at people, looking at animals in America. It does introduce you to some animals and habitats that are in decline, but the real stories are about the people working with those animals. One of them is about people doing Arctic tours to look at polar bears and raise awareness about their decline, with Martha Stewart as their champion. Another story is about people teaching whooping cranes that were raised in captivity to migrate, and another story is about a whale that keeps trying to swim inland. These stories have drama, human struggle, ingenuity, and even a little hope. And after talking to a couple of friends about those two books, I had two separate people recommend to me these two books, the first of which is called A Paradise Built in Hell by Rebecca Solnit, The Extraordinary Communities That Arise in Disaster. This book confronts the idea that people inevitably turn on each other in times of struggle and hardship, but she instead shows by telling stories about people drawing together and providing support in the wake of disasters like the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, the 1917 Halifax explosion, 9/11, and Hurricane Katrina. And then another book that I was recommended is called Extreme Cities, The Peril and Promise of Urban Life in the Age of Climate Change by Ashley Dawson. This book talks about coastal flooding and erosion that's already affecting 1/3 of the people in the world, and threatened cities which are vulnerable to climate change and related sea level rise, where nearly 750 million people live. And he spends some time talking about both city and community responses to crisis. He talks about relocating the residents of Staten Island, building seawalls and walls in Holland, and also self-organized groups who do things like distribute food and supplies after things like Hurricane Sandy. One group in specific was able to get medicine to elderly people in high-rises faster than FEMA or major nonprofit organizations could. So hopefully I've given you guys some new ideas about things to read if you're interested in stories like these. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next month with some more books.